Welcome to episode 1 of Teaching History in the Homeschool. I'm Heather Schwartz and I'm here with Scott Powell. We're the creators of Knowable World, a history curriculum for K-2 level homeschoolers. Our topic today is the question of whether kids as young as 4, 5, 6, kindergarten age, whatever you consider that to be for your kids, are ready for history. There's a common opinion or argument that young children should be taught skills like reading and writing and math, but that they're not yet ready for content subjects like history and science, and that those subjects should be left until later. I recently read a book called The Knowledge Gap by Natalie Wexler that challenges that idea and makes a strong argument that children should be taught content at an earlier age. So what's our position at Knowable World? Are children at these ages ready to connect with history in a meaningful way? Can topics be taught to young children in ways that are accurate but still age appropriate? And our answer to that is yes.
Absolutely. Our position is that young children are ready to begin studying history. Not only are they ready for it, but they actually have a need that we can meet. The reason is that we think of history as the revelation and explanation of the world we live in. Who could argue that kids have a need to understand the world they live in? Sadly, many people believe that young students don't need history because they've been convinced that history is merely the study of the past and thus does not relate to real life. That's how pretty much all of us were taught history as children. We have these stories, they're about people that lived in ancient times or medieval times or even in modern times. And we have a sampling of various topics like the world wars and various things that we learn in so-called social studies. Always, though, what we're doing is we're learning about other people that lived somewhere else a long time ago. And the question always arises, why do we need to know such things? So the way that history is taught in schools is indeed disconnected from real life, and it's uninspiring and boring. And I think many adults have learned to be downright suspicious of history as a subject. It's just too disconnected from real life. So if you have that view, naturally there's this question of when or even why would you foist such a subject on your child that has no connection to real life? And then if you add the concern about sorting out the truth from the lies, and you're not sure how to present the violence and cruelty that is so often associated with important events, clearly, who wants to do that? But those fears stem mainly from the wrong approach.
Right. And so that's a major way that Knowable World is different from other history programs and from the way history has been taught traditionally in schools. We reject the idea that history is just the study of the past. Instead, we present it as a means to deeply understanding the world that we live in.
That's our focus. That's our guiding principle. Based on that, our approach is to introduce children to the world that we live in, help them notice and investigate important facts about the way the world is today, and begin the process of understanding that world, which gradually becomes the subject of history because, of course, the explanation for how the world came to be the way that it is that it's the cumulative outcome of the values, choices, and actions of human beings. We call the first level of Knowable World History Detectives, because we want to encourage children's natural curiosity about the world, encourage them to look around, and reward them for asking questions and searching for answers.
So we made Knowable World for children ages 4 to 8, but obviously we know that not every single 4-year-old is necessarily going to be ready for this. It's just like learning to read or count. A certain mix of developmental factors comes into play, and kids are ready at different times. But again, as with reading or writing or math, parents and teachers are going to be watching for signs of readiness within a certain window, and they're also going to be supporting the student's development. And because we know, having both of us been in this situation ourselves, that adults are coming out of our schools not understanding history for themselves, let alone well enough to support a child in learning it, we designed Knowable World to give parents the tools that they need to succeed in giving their child something that they never had, a great history education. And the first step that we're taking with Knowable World, beginning in level 1, is to help you help your child to look at the world around them with curiosity and to have that curiosity rewarded and satisfied by giving them more information about what they're seeing and more tools to be able to understand the world.
Yes. And that's the key to the question of whether young children are old enough to start learning history. Are they old enough to look around at the world and ask questions about it? Do they have questions like, how does the mail get to the house every day? How do water and electricity get into our homes? Are they interested in the bigger world outside their homes? Would they like to know, how big is the world? Why do people live in different countries? Why do people speak different languages? Then they're old enough to start learning history, because they're old enough to ask the kinds of questions that can only be answered by history.
Yeah, and the curriculum is designed to help equip you, the parent, to do exactly that, to help draw your child's attention to important facts about the world and engage and reward their natural curiosity and help them start building a base of knowledge that they can draw upon and add to as they learn more and more about history.
So, to go back to the question we opened with, are kindergarten-age children old enough to start learning about history? Our answer at Knowable World is a definite yes. Kids that age are curious about the world. They are ready to take a closer look at some of the facts of the world around them that are accessible and familiar to them, and to learn to see those facts as part of the story of human action. That is the first step in learning history, the kind of history that isn't just about the past, but instead allows us to understand the world we live in.
Yes. Thanks for joining us. We'll be back again soon with more thoughts about teaching history in the homeschool.